Dun, 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 dun. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Bum, 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 bum.
What's up, party people of the AACL? What's going on? What's happening? What is cracking this Monday night? I know it's a little early in the week to be hearing my voice and to be talking AACL football, but guess what? This is the world we live in this week. It is what it is, and that's all that it is. It's what we got to do. I won't be around on Thursday, so we are crushing a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week. Gunny says I hear Yogi. I didn't hear Yogi's voice unless you are a savant or you have radar hearing or something, Gunny. I don't even know where that came from. Regardless, welcome to Season 3 AACL TueNight, Episode 3, with myself, Ray, and Yogi. I'll introduce them momentarily. But I want to tell you, we've got a new show tonight. We've added highlights, and we've added a couple other little things. And so we're just going to fucking crush it. I literally put the ball on the tee, and me and Ray and Yogi are like murderers row. We're like the 1947 Yankees, but better because we don't wear pinstripes. We wear pinstripes horizontally to make us look fatter because that really helps. Thank you, Gunny. Appreciate that. But with no more ado, saying all that, talking all that shit, 42, 47, Gunny, 220, 221. Did I say 47? Is it 42? What are the Yankees that are, or is it 27? Maybe it's 27, bro. I don't fucking know. Listen, I just throw out fucking numbers against the wall. Whatever sticks, man. I don't know what to tell you. It's not my birthday. I will tell you whose birthday it is, though. It is, it's Caleb's birthday. It is Nate's birthday. What was the other birthday? There was 3 birthdays today. Anybody remember what the other one was? 1927
Bullet.
Yankees. Thank you. Say that again, Michaela.
Bullet.
And Bullet Boletsky's birthday. So happy birthday to all them. Guess what? Tomorrow, June 4th, is Winkler's birthday. Wink is at home, laid up, pulled an abdominal muscle or something. I don't remember what he's doing. Probably too many crunches is what I'm guessing. Hey, yo. So
What is wrong with you?
yeah, I don't know. So Wink's not doing so great tonight, but he'll be doing better tomorrow when he celebrates another birthday. So we got a bunch of people June 3rd. We got Wink tomorrow, and then of course I come up on Thursday. So that being said, let me introduce the cleanup hitter. I guess I'm the third hitter. I'm in the 3 spots. So let me introduce the cleanup hitter, none other than Ray Bashan himself, the Notre Dame QB and head coach and broadcast leader here in the AACL. Ray, what's going on? What's happening? What's cracking with you tonight, bro?
I'm going to fucking puke if you put me on the Yankees ever again.
Dude, I'm a Dodgers fan. You know how much that hurt to fucking say that?
I would rather wear the yellow Connect uniforms that the Red Sox have than be on the Yankees.
I would rather wear, what's the worst team in the history of baseball?
Orioles?
Oh, Orioles are pretty fucking
Cardinals?
bad. Orioles are pretty bad. No, they're not. Oh, you just said that out of spite, Michaela. You know the Cardinals aren't the worst. You just said that because you're a Cubs fan, right?
Yeah.
That's okay. I'll give you this. I'm a Cubs and a Cardinals fan. I'll tell you why. First of all, I'm a lifelong Dodgers fan. Second of all, Ozzie Smith is my favorite player of all time because I also played shortstop growing up. And he's the wizard. I mean, whether you like the Cardinals or hate the Cardinals, you cannot not love Ozzie Smith. And I got to tell you, in 2016, I finally went to Wrigley Field, and it was like going to church for the first time and losing my virginity all at the same time, which if you go to Notre Dame, that can happen.
I'm sorry. Did you just say going to church and losing your virginity at the same time?
That's what she said.
I did. I meant to say it was a very pleasurable experience. Ray, you get my point, right?
Jesus.
This is how we're starting week 3. Okay, so this is how we're starting week 3. Yes. I mean, listen, honestly, Wrigley Field 2016, amazing. And by the way, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I'm going to toot my own horn. For those of you who don't already know the Axis story, when I go to a game for the first time for a team, they win the championship that year. And I'll back it up. 2016, went to my very first Cubs game. They won the World Series. 2005, I went to my very first Chicago White Sox game. They won the World Series. 2015 or was it 2015? I think when Clemson won the national championship. I went to my first Clemson game. Back in 1995, I went to my first UCLA basketball game. Fucking UCLA wins the national championship. I'm just saying. So if you want to buy my services for your team to win a championship, just fucking hit me up aside in my DM. So anyway, that being said, let me introduce the third leg here of our tripod trifecta murderers row. Is none other than Yogi. Is none other than Yogi Bar. Yogi, what's up with you, bro?
I'm not quite sure I want to be a third leg.
Well, hey, at least I said the Yankees thing for you, bro.
Yeah. Murderers Row. I can live with that.
You're the one that all the ladies want, though.
Whoa,
wait. Oh yeah, there you go.
Wait. I thought I was the front middle leg there. I thought you guys were the two supporting.
There you go.
said third leg. When everybody says third leg, that means it's the middle.
All right, but he's He's batting sixth in the lineup, though. Come on, man.
Hey, I'm playing shortstop though.
Bro, you know I'm playing short. I'm playing short. I stole shortstop from you, and you know it.
No, I was injured for the year.
You're fucking still injured, bro. All right, listen. All right, hey,
I'm playing that outfield.
Let me hit the chat real quick before we just fucking destroy this broadcast any more than we already have. Stream Elements is the first one in the chat. Imagine that. Followed by Doug Britton, Ray Bashan, Crazy Canuck. Twiggy's in the house along with Cornhub. Sosa's here. Gluda's in the house. Ronnie Shanahan. Coco Punch is with us. Gunny's here. Dude, that was a hell of an intro there for the last 8 minutes. Keith is here, probably listening while he's driving. Oh, somebody just bounced. Who is that?
No, that was Michaela with a soundboard.
Oh, that's fucking funny. Who am I missing? I feel like Boonberry's here. There's a lot more people than that are talking. Let me see who's hiding here. Pink Lisa's here. Pink Lisa's in the house. She's not yapping, but she's on here. Hey, Mellow27 is with us. Scorpy somebody or some shit. Oh, and Zach Benjamin is with us too. A few others. There's only about 20 here, I think. Yep, 21. 21 of you. And Yogi Bar. Here we go. Yeah, we start off the rails. That's what we do. All right, here's how things are going to go tonight. It's going to be a little different. I'm going to kill this. We are going to start with highlights. And what's going to happen is Ray was nice enough to clip highlights for each of your games. As I see the lovely, amazing, perfect Pink Lisa jumping in at the last second, along with Chef Moose. Dave, let's throw it. Dude, I'm down with Sloppy Joe's, bro. I'm always down with Sloppy Joe's. You know that.
Ooh, Sloppy Joe's.
Oh, I love Sloppy Joe's, bro. You know what? I like Sloppy Joe's in a tortilla.
On top of
Old Smoky? Oh, no.
No. Potatoes. On top of potatoes. No.
On top of Old Smoky.
Tater tots. On top of tater tots.
Covered with blood.
Isn't that just a casserole?
No.
I don't know about all that.
It's like more like nachos.
Is it? Okay. Oh, that's not terrible. It's kind of like doing pulled pork nachos, but with sloppy joes.
Tachos?
Yeah, I get that.
Nachos.
Tachos.
Okay. All right, folks, here's what we're going to do. We're going to play anywhere between 3 and 5 minutes of highlights for your game, depending on how many highlights you actually fucking have. Some of you guys were really good, scored a lot of points, had a lot of plays. You got 5 minutes of highlights. Some of you guys fucking suck, and so you get 3 minutes of highlights. That's just the way it works. I don't make the rules. I just break them.
And for me, watching everything, most of y'all fucking sucked.
Whoa.
Nope.
So
Wrong.
let's start off with a game that probably has the most highlights. Actually, it is. This is the game that has the most highlights. We're going to go in order of the games last week. The first game, Ray, is Notre Dame, your game, and Alabama. Notre Dame was ranked 4th. They had come off an impressive week 1 victory playing against Alabama, who did not have an impressive week 1 victory because they lost. But talk to me a little bit about this game as you recollect your team coming up a little short against Alabama.
I mean, we pretty much underprepared for what Alabama was going to throw at us. Alabama somehow, I mean, they went off of week 1, as you see that beautiful touchdown to J-Rock there from everywhere. From week 1, Alabama looked like there was going to be nothing, and then they just immediately got their shit together and put it out toward us. As you can see, I've gotten sacked multiple damn times during this game.
Yeah,
I did not expect that fire of a defense from Alabama.
Yeah, Crazy Canuck, as though you threw a nice touchdown there to Kevin Austin Jr. Crazy Canuck in the chat though says, so how many highlights? So many highlights because Ray was sacked so many times. Was it 7 or 8 times or something? It was pretty high, right?
Yeah, it was pretty high, and I think I pretty much put all of the sacks in there because I wanted to highlight this Alabama defense. As you see, everywhere gets sacked
Right.
by Joe Bow there. That's
Ye-
his second sack of the game.
Yogi, here's the thing, right, with Alabama, and there's as you see Ray go down again. Hey-o.
Heyo.
So Alabama, we all know David Ware's been dealing with some personal stuff. Hasn't been around that much. Daniel Gunn has stepped up to AD in his stead. Well, in week 1, Alabama's roster wasn't completely built properly, along with their offensive line and stuff. Daniel Gunn came in and fixed all of that before week 2. As you watch these highlights, knowing that Alabama failed in week 1, do you feel like that was just the difference in this game?
No, I think it was something Ray said last week that may have gotten them stoked up. May or may not have. I don't know. Yeah, I understand about getting the extra players and what a difference it makes. It really does. I think that's helped them immensely. And, they look like they're ready to roll Tide in a little while.
Yeah, they were. As we see an interception there, Alabama just taking it away from number 84, coming right downfield, and then everywhere to the corner there to J-Rock for a 12-yard touchdown. Ray, I assume you were unaware of the Alabama situation at the time, as we see another Alabama touchdown, J-Rock, 51 yards down the sideline. Does that make you feel any better about the situation, knowing that week 1 they just didn't have their shit together, and week 2 they finally did?
No, I mean, we shouldn't have taken them lightly anyways, no matter how their week 1 folded out. We had multiple people on this team looking ahead of the schedule when I've sat there and I've told them repeatedly, hey, focus on the week that's coming up. We will get to the other teams later. And it seems like they took down what Alabama they should have done in week 1. And they turned down their expectation, be like, oh, this should be an easy win against Alabama. And Alabama just showed up and pretty much just steamrolled us.
Yeah, you guys tried to make something out of it in the fourth quarter, as we see here, which could have been a pick 6. One of the things that's been interesting, Yogi, this season is halfbacks not doing quite as well. Some doing well, but some a lot not doing well, as we see another interception by Alabama that pretty much sealed the game at this point. Was this a pick 6, Ray? I don't remember.
That was a pick 6.
Was it?
Look at me. Hold on. Oh, I almost got him. Almost got his shoestrings.
Yeah, it was. Hey-o. Yogi, but so Connor Darien, who struggled,
like this.
The halfback for Alabama, who struggled in the preseason in week 1, finally showed up here in week 2. Connor Darien, along with everywhere, and J-Rock and Wyndham Sink and everybody, a complete team effort. But how important is the running back game to be established to set up the passing game for Alabama in this game?
I see a lot of passing setting up running game. I know we did it ourselves when we got some wide receivers that definitely helped our running game out. But the quarterbacks are the ones that I'm seeing step up and getting so many yards rushing all over the league.
That's true.
It's a lot of quarterbacks gaining yards every week.
Yeah.
So, I'll have to sit down and chart that out and see what their percentages are to the total run totals of the teams.
Yeah, as we wrap up the last few seconds of this, Alabama with a commanding win, 45-28 over the Irish of Notre Dame. Obviously, Irish will probably fall a little bit in the polls as we move on to game 2 between Kansas and Nebraska. Now, Kansas, the 5th-ranked team in the nation, with an impressive week 1 win, Ray, goes into Nebraska. I almost feel like Kansas felt about Nebraska the way you guys felt about Alabama. What do you think about that?
I mean, definitely. I mean, you always look at the team that you're facing and be like, oh, they lost last week and they lost by, this bad. They had these mistakes. I feel like we can capitalize on said mistakes. But these teams don't realize Tony Ava running in for a nice little touchdown there for Kansas.
The neck roll himself.
The neck roll himself, exactly. And I believe this is, if I'm remembering correctly, this is Polytruth, and I think this is where. No, never mind. All right, I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, every team just looks at that mistake and be like, we can capitalize on that, but they don't realize that that mistake can easily be fixed, and that's what Nebraska did this week. They fixed their mistakes, and they went out there and they played a decent game of football.
Yeah, Dave's not here there with the touchdown. Pauly and Brookie both running, all over Kansas for the most part, as we see Brooke get sacked there for a 7-yard loss. But Yogi, all I kept saying, Paulie had been struggling too. A lot
There's
like
the injury.
There it is. A lot like we talked about Connor Darien at Alabama, but I think Paulie comes back in this game, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he just fell short of 100 yards. I think he got like what's that?
Paulie Truth did not enter the game. He was out with a concussion.
I thought he came back and got like 97 yards.
No.
Nope.
Brooke, how much did you rush for in this?
Wrong.
Game?
I don't know.
Well, somebody rushed for some yards. Maybe it was the backup.
I'll tell you who's doing wonders there. John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith, 3 sacks in this game.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah,
3 or
actually,
5?
no, he had 5 sacks in this game.
Yeah.
I just saw 3 right now.
Yeah,
so.
3 at this
Yeah.
point. Yeah, he ended up with 5
Run,
overall.
Brooke, run.
But so Yogi, I guess that kind of changes my question. I must have mixed Paulie up with one of the other running backs. No one on Nebraska rushed for more than 65 yards. Okay, well, I'm mixing it up with somebody else. So then let me change my question for you, Yogi. Without the running game, Nebraska still handles Kansas 29-20. Once Paulie goes out so early in the game, if I'm Kansas, wouldn't I just concentrate on stopping the pass at that point?
Yeah, you would think.
Oh,
You
that's
would
why
think.
I clipped it.
It's a fumble.
The fumble recovery.
Yep.
That was beautiful. Go ahead, Yogi.
Yeah, I agree with what you were saying there. But it was an all man on deck mentality is what they used. So everybody chipped in a little bit.
I
There's
mean,
his
from
fifth.
what-
yep, there it is, right there. 5
Yep.
5. I mean, John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith had a game and a half.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, played outstanding. As we move on to the Auburn Florida game, let me just say one more thing real quick about the Nebraska game. The Nebraska game, 29-20, and just give me like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, real quick. I'll go to both you, Ray and Yogi. If Paulie doesn't get hurt, do you think Nebraska wins by more, or does that change the dynamic of the game and maybe makes it even closer?
I mean, Paulie getting hurt definitely hurts Nebraska's offensive game plan. But at the same time, I mean, we've seen instances where Paulie hasn't been the main focus of Nebraska's game plan. So I don't think it hurt Nebraska in a way that everybody thinks it did. I believe Nebraska was probably going to drop as many points as they did with or without Paulie Truth back there.
Yogi, real quick before we talk about this game.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely has to have some effect on the dynamic of the game, but I think the score would have been very similar.
So Florida losing in week 1. I'm sorry, losing in week 1. Auburn losing in week 1. So one of these teams was finally going to get a W. It turns out to be Florida in this game, as we all saw. Most surprising thing so far, Ray, in this entire season so far after 2 weeks, is it that Auburn is 0-2?
It definitely is. I mean, like you said, 26-win streak going into this season, even through the preseason, and they're sitting here playing like they have nothing. They have nothing else to prove. You can't jump into a season after winning everything back to back, thinking that you have nothing else to prove. You have everything to prove every single season. You have to stay on top of that mountain.
Agreed. Michaela reminding us real quick in the chat on that last game, on that Nebraska game, Tony Ava also got injured. I'm assuming Tony Ava came back though, Michaela,
No, he was also out.
He
for
was
the
also
game.
out. So maybe that's what made the game the way it was. Then that makes a lot of sense. Lisa here, Yogi, very uncharacteristic of her the first couple weeks, making probably more mistakes. Banger 2574, first time chatter. What's up? Welcome to the program. Pink Lisa, Yogi, I think she threw more interceptions, or at least made more bad mistakes in the first 2 weeks of this season than she has the last 2 seasons. What do you think's going on there with her and this passing game with Auburn?
Can't wrap my head around that because you haven't seen this out of Pink Lisa yet. She's perfect usually, but she was definitely not perfect this past week and has been
Beautiful
struggling
pass.
a little bit this whole season. Yes, it was.
I'm a little surprised by it too, and I just wonder, like Ray, you kind of talked about a second ago, was Auburn coming into the season resting on their laurels, and not realizing that with the new player builds that we've done in this game, the new NIL money system, with custom playbooks, which Florida is one of them, and all the changes we made, that you just can't expect to be the same team against the same teams because they're not the same teams anymore, right? Does that make sense?
Sorry, Clams had my attention about something. Can you repeat that again?
Clams should know that you love me more than her. It was said in the chat. For
What did he
God's
say?
sake.
What did he say?
He said Clams should know you love me more than her.
I was giving him shit the other fucking night because I was like, you talk to Dave more than me.
That's what I'm saying. And yet here you are during the show. Unbelievable.
I believe that's pick 7
Unbelievable.
or 6.
6. Yeah, I think she had 6 that game. I don't remember my question at this point. It basically was a Auburn rest on the laurels, but you should know better with all the changes we've had in the league, with the player builds, the NIL money, the progressions, the custom playbooks, all that stuff. You should know better that it's just not going to be business as usual here week to week.
Exactly. You can't just go back to what worked in the first season. There's a saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But Auburn, after week 1, it was broke. You need to fix it.
Right. Well, we'll see how they come out in week 3. Week 3, they do finally get their first home game of the season. Speaking of another team, though, Ray and Yogi, they had to play both their first weeks on the road. An LSU team, though, that has made a huge impression, and no question at all that they are 2-0 after 2 weeks, both away victories. And Yogi, I think LSU has made a statement to say, we don't care when we play. We don't care where we play. We don't care who we play. We're going to beat your ass.
Yeah, they put up 85 points in 2 games on the road. They definitely are making a statement loudly.
They are, and we've got a top game. As you see, Racy McMath there from Larry Ballin. Larry Ballin, another candidate, I think, for Offensive Player of the Week this week. Essex Denabolo there on a 10-yard reception, but. Keith in the chat saying Lisa's on track for 64 interceptions this year. I doubt that will happen, but I appreciate the math and the statistics. Dylan Ux there looks like with a sack.
That was just a tackle before.
Or a tackle. And Nate Hall, Ohio State, though. Let's talk about them for a second. You know, Yogi and I, Ray, talked about LSU, how good they are, the fact they get to play Penn State this week. So you got 2 of the top teams in the nation squaring off. But this Ohio State team, not looking great these first 2 weeks after a very impressive preseason tournament showing. What do you see the difference in them through these first 2 weeks with their 2 losses?
I mean, pretty much attitude. They thought they were the best team after the preseason, and their attitude right now showing in the regular season. I'm not seeing the best team. You're seeing an LSU defense pretty much just stomp on this Ohio State offense. With multiple sacks, as I say that, Nate Hall gets a huge run off right here.
Say it, right? Yeah.
But again, I mean, LSU putting up 35 points before Ohio State could even find the end zone too. It's just a lack of an attitude and discipline throughout this Ohio State team.
Yeah, we'll see how that how they respond here this week. Special shout outs, thoughts and prayers to Nate Hall, who found out today on his birthday, unfortunately, that his grandmother is probably passing away at some point this week, so he's probably not going to be with us the rest of this week. So, Nate, we're thinking of you and your family during this time. Jalen Washington there with a touchdown. And, Yogi, let me get back on this LSU train for a second. LSU and Penn State, I think we're kind of fighting back and forth last season for that second spot, right?
Yeah.
And they finally get to square off this season. This week, I think they play on Wednesday night. They're the primetime game.
Yep.
As you compare LSU to Penn State, what are some of the differences you see maybe, and who do you think will have the advantage this week when they square off tomorrow night?
Well, I mean, Penn State scored a lot of points, but they gave up a lot to Auburn. Both of LSU's wins have been, not blowouts. I mean, the first one definitely was a blowout. The second one, it wasn't as close as the final score showed. But they just seem like all around they've got a great defense. They've got weapons at every skill position. I see them as being a problem all season. So I think they're going to have the advantage on Penn State this week. Not I'm guaranteeing a win, but I think going into the game they have the advantage player to player.
Yeah, the advantage there is. Oh, you guys want to see that game again? Apparently. Sorry, hold on. Let me do this.
It's worth to point out with that LSU Ohio State game. Ohio State or LSU could sit there and complain that Brute Bandit went out with a torn shoulder during that game.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, Ohio State also had Ty Bird, their top wide receiver, go out with an MCL sprain within the final quarter.
So, yeah, I think that definitely I'm looking forward to that game. I think it's going to be the game of the week. But speaking of games of the week, last week we had a lot of blowouts. But we had one particular game, this one, that was only ended up being a 2-point advantage. Syracuse wins this game 42-40. But Yogi, was this not the game of the week last week? Because I love close games, bro. And I love when it comes down to the wire. And I feel like this was the only game last week we were all on the edge of our seat.
The Miami game.
Oh, yeah.
That was a one-pointer.
But
this was a great game. It was anybody's game at any time.
I just kind of felt like Miami was going to do Miami things, though.
Yeah, they did.
Right? Dude, we got to talk about that. We're going to talk about that Miami thing later, too. But is this a case, Ray, of Taz and Syracuse group who got to put up 42 points finally getting their act together? Or was it just a case of them playing a Missouri team that really hasn't shown up yet?
You could honestly say, you could argue for both cases, honestly. Syracuse finally showed up, decided to put some points on the board and show a little bit of offense and some life. At the same time, they are facing Missouri. Missouri does not have such good of a defense as you saw before. The running back, just bouncing off the defenders left and right just to get that huge gain. Unfortunately for Syracuse, Nick Warner went out with a concussion during this game after that play. But Syracuse obviously showing that signs of life. Like I said, this huge pass to 69 for a touchdown.
I knew Chad would quit.
Yeah, I laughed when I saw that name. But again, this is a Missouri team. I would like to see what Syracuse does against the top team that we have so far in the AACL. But this was a good bust down win for the Orange.
So Yogi, let's talk about Syracuse for a minute. So a Syracuse team who lost in week 1, but now beat a Missouri team in week 2, which Ray just talked about. But now this week, they have to go to Auburn, bro. An 0-2 Auburn team. Is this where we find out if Auburn has finally got their shit together or if Syracuse is for real?
Yep, one way or the other, we're going to find out this week. But going back to what Ray said with the running back going down, Warner, I think Syracuse is probably the most set up of any team with Winkle
look at that.
The ball.
Look at that.
Look at him.
Just
look
get over
at
that.
him.
Look at the
He's
defense.
just fucking running over people.
He looks like Mike Allstott.
And there goes Chester Chest out of the game, too. He had a strain back.
Yep. Injuries have been a part of the
and
first
look
2
at
weeks.
Taz, though. Time. You know what, though, Ray, to me, we got about 30 seconds left in this highlight, but to me, sometimes I feel like Taz takes it upon himself too much and does too much, and then that's where he makes mistakes. What do you think?
He definitely sees himself as the leader of this team, but unfortunately, with being a leader, you cannot do everything by yourself. You have to have that trust within your entire team to get the job done. You don't have to do everything yourself. I'm learning that as a QB now. Like, I don't have to do everything myself. That's why I spread the ball around as much as I do. You can be a leader. That's fine. You can be a locker room leader. You can be a leader on the field. You can calm everybody down. You can get them grouped together and say, hey, we're going to do this and we're going to do this. But you do not have to do it by yourself. Take suggestions from your teammates and put it out onto that field.
Well,
100%.
As we move into Game 6 highlights here between Tennessee and Penn State, I had this one marked, you guys, as potential game of the week. I think it was a very good game up until about the fourth quarter. Let me see what the final score was. Final score, 29-14, but I think it was 14-14, if I'm not mistaken, going into the fourth quarter or sometime late in the third quarter. Yogi, let me start with you. Are you impressed with this Tennessee team? Now, we talked about Taz a second ago, who is one of only 2 juniors in the league. The other junior is Taz Von Wolfswinkel, transferring over from Navy. following Gunny, his athletic director, and they picked up a few good pieces and had some pieces follow them from Navy. Is Tennessee flying under the radar right now? And what do you think they need to do to get over the hump to beat the likes of this Penn State team and maybe an LSU or who else is up there? Maybe even if Auburn comes back and becomes Auburn again.
A more consistent defense for the whole game. It looked like they ran out of gas in the fourth quarter, like you said. It was a good game up until then, and it just got away from them quick. So I think if their defense can step up, they'll be a pretty good team.
Yeah, the other difference in every Penn State game, Ray, is 3 simple letters. Am I right?
I would assume you're correct. I mean,
if you added it, well, I guess a word in 3 letters if you add the word hashtag, but CGQ, yeah. but CGQ's getting a lot of attention, and he does well in receiving. He does well on returns. But look at the talent they have here. You got Blitzkrieg, who, of course, as soon as I bring him up, he fumbles the ball. Blitzkrieg has been running like crazy. DeHatenay is all over the field with, I think he already has like 3 or 4 interceptions this season. Navarro is the reigning defensive player of the year. And then don't forget my main man, Cam Sullivan-Brown.
Now your mic's cutting out when you're doing it. But yeah, that fumble that you talked about, that actually got called back because he was down before he fumbled that ball. But Penn State just found the rhythm sometime in the second half. As you see, they finally entered the end zone after being held to just 3 field goals in the first half by Tennessee. Tennessee was the first one to find the end zone. I believe the halftime score was 9-7 for this game.
That's crazy. And there's DeHatenay with his second interception.
There's DeHatenay shredding off a guy, but unfortunately he stepped out of bounds before he could get down any further. But Penn State found the rhythm sometime in the second half. I don't know what the change was or what they said inside that locker room, but they were just on fire straight after. Yeah,
David Leathers in the chat saying wide receiver T.J. Jones has been an unexpected contributor in the early going, as we saw him a couple minutes ago running over defenders to take it in the end zone for a Penn State touchdown. Penn State cruises in the fourth quarter with the last 15 points unanswered to win 29-14. As we move on to Game 7 last week. This is the game, Yogi, everybody's been talking about. And everybody talked about the Miami game of the week before, too. What is going on with Miami and their clock management at the end of games, bro?
There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's broken for sure. They've cost themselves 2 games, and this is not that long of a season to be able to give any games away. 2 points, 2 losses.
It's unbelievable. Now, Robo is no joke either. He's one of the top quarterbacks in the league this season. I think if everybody remembers in the preseason tournament, for every single game he threw over 500 yards.
Yeah.
As we see Beaverhausen, who's been playing great with a nice pass there from Bullitt. But Ray, is Miami... Listen, if Miami doesn't make those 2 mistakes, they could be 2-0, and we could be sitting here talking about them being a top 3 or 4 team, and instead we're talking about them making all these mistakes and possibly not even being ranked. Is that the difference this season with almost every team in this league with how competitive and with the new parity in the league?
I mean, mistakes are mistakes. You have to fix them. Unfortunately for Miami, it seems like lightning does strike twice for Miami. They lost both games after a comeback by the other team by 1 point, and Miami just has no answer. As you can see throughout these highlights, Miami, look at that. Yeah. 3 receivers down there on a Hail Mary. I will say that one thing bad about UNLV there. Why do you only have 1 defender with 3 wide receivers in that fucking area? That was before halftime too. But Miami, as you see, they had the lead most of this damn game. They had an answer for whatever UNLV was throwing at them. Just for some reason, gas emptied the tank, or the tank was emptied. And I don't know. Miami, I have no answer. But if you lose week 3 by 1 again, as you can see, that's Jimmy Slickpants. He went out for a game with a shoulder injury.
Yeah,
but And here's where I was
there's
going to
the
make the
backup,
point of
yeah.
Slick Pants goes out for the game, and Miami says no problem. We have Jalen Knighton with a 56-yard touchdown.
Yeah, didn't Jalen run for like 700 yards on 2 carries or some shit like that?
Something like that. After that touchdown, Miami's for some reason
Look at
went for
this.
2, but they failed.
Yeah, but look at this, dude. This guy was insane. Here's the problem, right? Ray and Yogi both. We got under a minute now left on these highlights. These AIs have been playing. These AI backups have been playing very well because a lot of key positions like quarterback, running back, halfback, and wide receiver, when they did their player builds, they didn't put enough on injury. Did we not learn that last season, Ray? I'll start with you. With oh my God, it's on the tip of my tongue. Holy shit, Penn State quarterback. How can I not forget Guy Clausen?
Yeah.
Did we not learn that with Guy Clausen last season that you got to have a lot of fucking injury on your player or he's going to get hurt every game?
In any sim game, you don't want to put that in the simulation's hands.
Exactly.
You gotta protect yourself from injuries as best you can, and you still can't 100% protect yourself from it.
Oh, this also fucked over Miami. They called it an incomplete. They reviewed it and they called it a touchdown for UNLV. That last second touchdown. That's what won it for UNLV. Also, it kind of sucks for UNLV. I mean, it kind of sucks, but kind of didn't at the same time. Isdewan, their quarterback, went down and out for the game throughout those final few drives. So they had the backup quarterback out there, and that backup quarterback threw perfectly throughout the end of the game.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yep. And so here's the thing, and then we'll go to the last highlight here. When I went back and I looked this week, a lot of the players who've gotten hurt have somewhere between 80 and 85 injury. If you're going to be a quarterback, a halfback, or wide receiver in this league and you don't want to get hurt, you got to have at least 90, if not 95 injury in this league in order to stay healthy most of the time. Let's move on to game 8 here. Iowa, Virginia Tech. I know you.
The yellow game. The yellow game. We spent a lot of time in practice this week telling Bo yellow's no good.
Dude, Chevy Monte Carlo coming off player of the week. Maybe he just couldn't handle the pressure, Ray, of being the man. Or maybe he just couldn't see because those fucking...
He's colorblind.
Because those yellow uniforms were blinding him or whatever. But, we talked about, Ray, Chevy Monte Carlo in the preseason and his tough adjustment, right, coming from tight end to quarterback, which it looked like in week 1 he seemed to cure. What happened here in week 2?
Too much. The pressure just got to him. That's all I can say. Throughout watching this entire match, I mean, besides this throw, that is a bomb-ass yards after catch right there. I can't believe he bounced off of 3 defenders for that. But it's just the pressure. He got the spotlight after week 1, and then look at him. He's just standing in the pocket doing nothing, running backwards for no reason. And that Iowa defense gets a free sack from Philly Collins, dropped them down I think that was 10 yards.
They shut our running game down and made us one-dimensional. That did not help Chevy at all.
Stephon Forge, one of the premier wide receivers in the game, along with Cornhub. It's a very tough passing game to shut down, as you see Cornhub there. Speaking of which, scoring a touchdown. Where's this little thing? There it is.
They picked up a lot of 3rd and longs against us. And when I say long, 3rd and 21, 3rd and 17, 3rd and 12. Yeah, they were able to pick those up all game long.
So Corn in the chat says, "You best believe I'm wearing these for every away game this year." Now. And you know what's funny about that is he didn't even want him. He got pissed that I chose him because I didn't see his note that he wanted regular away uniforms. And now look who's saying what there, Corn. Yeah, what's up? Anyway, Michaela saying,
look at this field goal. This would have been a long fucking field goal. I added this especially just to make fun. What a fucking doink!
Dude, not only did it was a doink. Look at Ray though. He had the distance.
He had the distance, but it just hit the upright.
He's a third of the way up. Oh. And look at that. Look at this game.
I believe this is a pick 6.
Look at this game coming up at the end of the third quarter. 10 to 10 still. This is still anyone's game.
Yeah.
Going
it was
into
a
the
great
fourth quarter.
defensive game for 3 quarters.
It was a tied game. Never mind. He threw an interception and he pulled a Seattle Seahawk.
Now, did I see somewhere in the chat that Chevy threw 2 or 3 interceptions in the end zone?
3 in the end zone. The
Yes.
third one was the last play of the game, the Hail Mary.
Okay, so that one doesn't necessarily count, but still
But
two.
there's still 3 in the end zone, yeah.
I mean,
We
even
counted
if you take that Hail Mary
There's
away,
one by
Yogi,
Marco.
that's 14 more points, or at least 6 more points for you guys,
At
right?
least 6, yeah.
And you guys lost, 24-17, so the two
Yep,
field goals.
lost by 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow, what a difference those little plays make as we see Chevy this time saying, fine, I'll do it myself. Goes around the outside for the touchdown. 17-17, 2.5 minutes left. What a ball game. And then, of course,
One-hander.
there's Stephon Forge once again. If I'm not mistaken, I think Stephon Forge, along with the Indiana wide receiver, were the wide receivers of the season last season. And then Jaden Swift says, I'm just going to put the nail in this coffin. 14 seconds left. Wraps up the game. Last Hail Mary that
Here's your
Yogi just
interception.
mentioned. The third interception in the end zone there for,
And he had a guy deep.
yeah, he did, for Monte Carlo.
He had 2 guys middle, but just for some reason they did not want to catch that ball.
Nope.
And that wraps up the highlights there for week 2 here in season 3. Yogi, I'll go to you first, real quick. First impressions or last impressions, I guess, if you will, on these games in week 2 and the highlights you just saw.
You better bring your big boy pants because people are going to get hurt out on that field, and you better have somebody decent backing them up. That's been the theme for the first 2 weeks this year.
Yeah, Ray, I'll give you the last word here on these week 2 highlights.
I mean, I can only sum it up in one word, just repeated multiple times. Injuries, injuries, injuries. Y'all want to do everything, but y'all don't have the injury rating to be doing everything. Share that workload and don't let the spotlight fucking kick your ass, as we just saw from Chevy Monte Carlo.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly. You know what, Ray, I would say that's a great point, but I would say that goes for a lot of quarterbacks in this league. I think there are too many quarterbacks, including the great ones, right? Including your Rodney Dangerfields, your Pink Lisas, your Tazes, that don't trust their weapons enough. And let's spend a couple minutes on this real quick before I move over to the weekly rankings and the players of the week. Ray, I'll go to you first, then I'll go to Yogi. I'm kind of piggybacking on what I said earlier. We've changed the whole system here, right? We've made players be able to be better. We've given the ability to build their own player, to make them better, right? To spend their NIL money the way they want. You have the weapons now. What is it that's making these quarterbacks not trust their weapons 2 weeks into the season, especially after we already had a whole preseason tournament?
I mean, to me, it seems like everybody just focused on what they thought was necessary, like speed, catching, obviously not injuries, probably stamina too. Nobody focused on maybe like route running or catching in traffic or any of that stuff. They just focused on what they thought was necessary to get open. But as soon as they get open, hey, guess what? Your quarterback's sacked. So there's really no point in your speed if you're running down the field and you can't get the ball because your quarterback, A, doesn't have the throw power or the throw accuracy to throw down there, or B,
yeah, go ahead, or B,
like I said, you don't have that route running ability to be able to get open for your quarterback to make that throw to them before they get sacked.
Or Yogi, can I throw in an option C there based on what Ray just said? You as an athletic director, whoever you might be in this scenario, didn't build your offensive line properly, and you're not giving your quarterback the protection he needs.
Yeah, I mean, you got what you got to build that line with, so you got to be smart with what you have. I was hoping I had done that, but time will tell.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for everybody, I think. I mean, especially we've got some really good defensive ends in this league, so that's going to be fun.
To parlay what Ray was saying, I had one of my walk-on wide receivers got in and he built his player right away, and he was 97, 95, 97, 98, 95. You get down to stamina and injury, and he was 40-40, and I was like, we can't do that.
You can't do that.
You'll be fast as lightning, but you'll never be in the game. So
Yeah.
we corrected it.
One catch, you're out.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and he got to see what a difference that made. So 91 on speed is good for now.
Hey, Michaela,
But you're going to be in the game.
Michaela, we can give it. I always got that 5-minute buffer, baby. What can I say? All right, let me bring in Keith to talk real quick about Keith's method power rankings, the KMPRs that we talk about each week. I just want him to remind everybody Keith, if you get us a very quick, like 30-second synopsis of what goes into the KMPR and why potentially it could be different each week than the rankings that the ADs and the leadership of the AACL send in.
What up, Kyrie?
Y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me okay, by the way? I had to reset my mic.
We got you.
We can hear you.
Yeah, we got you,
Okay.
Kevin.
All right, cool. Yeah, so basically the KMPR basically just takes the rankings every week and says who wins, who loses. If you win, you move up. If you lose, you move down. And there's a few different other factors that determine how far up or down you move. I think one thing that some people don't realize is that it doesn't take game location into account unless it's an upset game. And so some people may be thinking the home field advantage can sway a game one way or another. It doesn't care about that unless it's an upset game, because then you get into the whole, oh, it's not as big of an upset because it was at home or whatever. So yeah, it basically just says, okay, who won, who lost, and by how much and against who.
Okay, well, with no further ado, if Michaela's around to give me a drum roll, let's check out the week 2, post week 2, going into week 3 KMPR rankings.
Thank you, Caden.
So, wasn't Penn State number 1 last week?
Yep.
So, Penn State and LSU switch spots. Auburn only drops 1 spot by going 0-2. Alabama jumps up 5. They're the biggest mover. Florida, the biggest dropper. They also went up 3. Notre Dame, the biggest dropper. Kansas stays put at number 5. The only team, Keith, that stays put. Talk to us about some of these crazy things, like Auburn still being in top 3, Penn State beating a Tennessee team but dropping to number 2, and Notre Dame dropping 3, but Alabama jumping 5.
Right. So the KMPR had a little bit of a stroke this week, but it really was very circumstantial. So a lot of people are probably questioning Bama jumping up so high, Auburn not dropping at all. Really, it was because Notre Dame, Kansas, Ohio State were 4, 5, 6 last week. They all lost. And if they all lost, Auburn can only drop down so far. They're not going to drop all the way down.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So they moved down 3 spots from their initial number 2 spot, but everyone else dropped so far that you can't put anyone else above them.
So explain to us real quick, why did Kansas not drop if they lost?
So the basic reasoning behind that is that there was a big log jam from 4 to 8. But I guess like the top tier of that 4 to 8 was Bama, Kansas, and Nebraska. Now, of course, you're probably wondering, well, wait a second. Nebraska beat Kansas. Kansas beat Alabama. What's going on there? Well, you had to go to like the 4th tiebreaker, and since it wasn't there hasn't been a true round robin there. They haven't all 3 played each other because Nebraska and Alabama haven't played. So
right.
Yeah, so you can't use head to head as a tiebreaker there, and so I had to end up using point differential and estimated strength of schedule, and it was really, really close between Bama and Kansas as to who gets that 4 spot. And Dave, you know this. I asked both Dave and Michaela for their input, and they both said it was really, really close.
It was really, and he gave us a blind test on the input, so we wouldn't be swayed one way or the other. And it was so close. It's razor thin close. Okay, I agree with that.
Michaela just said in chat, I had to see him come up with this. I don't agree with his ranking.
Well, you should see Michaela's ranking.
What about Iowa being 2-0 and in the bottom 8?
Well, because they weren't in the top 10 to begin with.
So,
I lost Keith.
Gotta fix his mic. Hold on.
Oh,
Technical difficulties.
okay.
all right, because Michaela still had her mic on because she's sitting 15 feet away from me.
Oh, fucking
Continue,
Michaela.
Khalil.
So the basic explanation is that per the model, basically it's been that the bottom 6 teams, which is a lot of the teams that aren't on this list yet. They've all played each other, and so the model just thinks that the strength of schedule for those teams is not very good. And so if you're really going to make a move, you're going to need to blow one of these teams out,
Gotcha.
which Virginia Tech did in week 1, and they got close to the top 10, but they didn't quite make it there because they lost last week. So
Right.
now that there's going to start being some parity and we're going to start seeing some different matchups with new teams and old teams and whatnot, there's going to start to be there's going to start to be different movement, and this is where the rankings are really going to get crazy, I think, at least per the model that I have.
Well, I'm kind of hoping for a lot of upsets this week, just so you have to stress out over this. All right, let's see how KMPR compares to the 10 ADs and leadership people who put in their rankings this week. So remember, there were 10 polls this week, or 10 rankings that were submitted. So, Michaela, give me a drum roll. Here are your new rankings going into week 3. Penn State and LSU with the exact same number of points. Exact same number. They are going to be co-number ones tomorrow night when they square off here in the AACL. UNLV jumps up 4 spots. Iowa jumps up 5 spots. Ironically, Kansas, who didn't move in the KMPR, also the only team that did not move in the rankings. A little dash means they didn't move. Pluses means they were not ranked before the 2 pluses. Florida jumps in to the top 10 at number 7. Alabama jumps in at 8. Nebraska jumps in at 9. Tennessee falls 4 spots to number 10. And then if you see at the bottom, other teams receiving votes, Virginia Tech, Auburn, Ohio State, Miami, and Syracuse all received votes. And the 3 teams that dropped out of the top 10 were Auburn, Ohio State, and Virginia Tech. Ray, give me your first impression on the post-week 2 going into week 3 official rankings.
All right. Well, first and foremost, I want to contact Crazy Canuck there. He said they can be number 1 and LSU can be A. So, okay. Based on Crazy's conception there.
1 and then 1A.
LSU is 1A and Penn State's now 1B.
Okay, there you go. Hey-o.
Second of all, it's not a shock to me. Auburn dropped out. Honestly, I had them out of my top 10 as well, but going off of every single other game that happened, with my ranking, I had Auburn at 9. Even though they did lose the 2 games back-to-back, I still didn't see any way to drop them out of the top 10. So it's a little shocking to me that they are dropped out of the top 10. OSU, Ohio State, after being ranked so high in the first week after they beat us in the second week, just to be dropped out of the top 10 like nothing again, that's a little shocking to me as well. And Notre Dame only dropping 2 after their terrible blowout loss to Alabama. I don't see us being number 6. I put us at number 7, but I didn't even rank Alabama either. So,
so there's that.
Yeah.
Yogi, your impressions real quick.
Well, I'm glad Iowa made it at 2-0. The 4 2-0 teams are the top 4 teams. That's the same way I had it. A win is a win. You can only play who you're set up to play against, and they've won both games as well as UNLV. They both deserve to be up there. I understand the other one's a formula, and it's a tough formula, but this is what the coaches think, and I kind of lean towards this one.
Yeah, I think obviously, Keith, your formula doesn't have the eye test in it, which I think is a huge factor with ADs and leadership doing their polls. What are your thoughts here on the official polling, which, by the way, just for the record, KMPR is one of the 10. We do take them in. They are one of the polls that get averaged into this. So, Keith, what's your takeaway on this?
Yeah, this is something that I think I put in the campus pub last week after all the games, but the model that I have, it is very, very hesitant to overreact to anything. So it might look crazy now, but it kind of will run on the idea that if you're not as good of a team as you really are, then you're gonna lose games and you're gonna drop down anyway. And if you're a good team, you win.
So why artificially inflate you in the meantime if you're just gonna drop back down anyway?
Yeah, it basically is just it's very, very patient. And so like there you go, UNLV and Iowa are
I was
up
just
at
going to ask about those two. Are you
3-4.
kind of saying that UNLV and Iowa are artificially inflated right now?
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that the model hasn't seen enough, and from its perspective, it hasn't seen enough, and the strength of schedule of those teams so far is not very good. And so it really is just kind of a waiting game, which is a little annoying, but theoretically, by the end of the season, it'll look okay.
Michaela says you called her unhinged for making those teams so high.
That's pretty much my top four right there too. I had LSU at number 1 because of the 2 blowout losses against really good teams, and then I had Penn State 2 because of their close win against whoever the fuck they just faced week 2. And then I had UNLV 3 and 4 because those are the only 4 teams that are 2-0.
Yeah.
Same here.
So if I would, there's a lot of. I mean, we could spend a half an hour arguing if a good, like Miami, right? If Miami loses 2 tough games by 1 point each due to the bullshit they had to put up with, are they good enough to be a top 10 team? If, let's say, Kansas, instead of losing 29-20 to Nebraska, they lost 56-20, would that make a difference? Like, there's a lot of little factors that go into this, I think, which I'm hoping that the voters take into consideration. But I agree. I think the undefeated teams, they're at the top right now, and that's the way it is, and everybody else has got to work their way. Like, they're the king of the mountain. They're the king of the jungle gym, the playground, and everybody else has got to get up there and try to knock them down.
Gunny did make a good point in chat. Missouri is the only team that didn't receive any vote whatsoever.
Let me see. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Wow. Good. I didn't even realize that. Good point, Gunny. Wow. So nobody high on Missouri. Damn. Okay.
Why would you be?
Well, hey-oh. All right, folks, let's move on. There's your official rankings. The ones in white going into tonight's games for week 3. Let's see who our offensive player of the week for week 2 is. Tommy Tebow.
Boo.
Tommy Tebow, the quarterback from Florida, 22 of 28, 290 yards passing, another 46 on the ground, 6 total touchdowns, and Tommy took 1, 2, 3. He took half the votes. Larry Ballin got a couple. David Ware. This guy stinks. David Ware, and even Pink Lisa in a loss, which doesn't happen very often. Pink Lisa in a loss. Got 1 vote, and it was not from the Auburn AD. So Tommy Tebow is your offensive player of the week for week 2. Your defensive player of the week for week 2 is...
There he is.
John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith. Now, here's the funny thing.
Damn it.
Hey, this was even closer. He had 1 less vote than Tommy Tebow did, and everyone else had a single vote. So Smith runs away with it technically, but Namey, McNamerson, Zeus, Navarro, Lasha, Longfellow, and Shane Thompson all had 1 vote apiece.
What's Lasha's last name?
Really long name. Lasha, really Lasha, really long fucking name. So there are your offensive and defensive players of the week for week 2. And, of course, as always, we are up against it. So let's bring in the week 2 matchups, and let's whip through these pick'ems real quick. Keith, are you still on with us? Is Keith still here?
I'm still here.
All right, so I'm going to go Ray, Yogi, Keith, each one, and let's just go through them real quick. Kicking off tonight, week 3, Florida at Iowa. Ray.
Florida at Iowa. Both great teams. Both have amazing stats. I chose the Gators over Iowa.
Okay, Yogi.
They're not wearing yellow this week because they're at home, so I'll have to go with Florida.
Dude, he should just start wearing yellow every fucking week till he loses. I'm just saying. Keith?
Bumblebees.
Florida has by far the number 1 offense in the league so far, statistically and from the eye test.
So
LSU there, buddy, but all right.
So you're going with Florida?
He's doing a lot of talking.
Is he still talking? Because I can't hear him.
Yeah, I'm going Florida.
Okay, Florida. Look at Corn in the. He's like he wants to wear yellow all the time. I am also going Florida on the road, which has not been the thing. The home teams have won about 80% of the games so far through 2 weeks. Let's see what AACL Nation says. AACL Nation also Florida doubling up Iowa 41-20 in the pick'ems there in the AACL server. Game 2 tonight, Virginia Tech at Alabama. Ray, who you got?
I said it last week. It didn't come true, so I'm going to say it again, and hopefully it comes true this week. Roll Tears roll. Upset Virginia Tech.
Okay, at home. Yogi, you're going to pick your own team, obviously.
Oh, of course. We got some Quaaludes for Chevy, so he'll be all right this week.
So he'll be good. All right, so just
he'll be
note
relaxed.
to self, Chevy Monte Carlo is on drugs. We need to drug test it after the game. Keith?
Prescribed.
Oh,
Doctor prescribed.
Well, dude, just because Lisa tells me to take some pills doesn't mean they're prescribed, bro. That's all I'm saying. Keith, who you got in this one?
Dude, this is a tough one, man. But I think everywhere is going to step up. I think Connor Darien is going to be solid again. I'm going to go Bama.
I was really impressed with Bama last week. If this was a week 2 game, I would probably go Virginia Tech, but I think you're right. I think I'm going to go Alabama as well after seeing what I saw last week. AACL Nation 39-21, so not quite doubling up Virginia Tech, but pretty close, 39-21 in favor of Alabama. Game 3, which is your first game tomorrow night, Miami at Kansas. Ray.
Hurricane's going to cane. Lost by 1 point. Kansas takes it.
Kansas takes it? Okay. Wait, do you think Miami's going to do the same thing?
Yep, they're going to lose by 1.
Shit. All right. Yogi?
Nah, Miami's going to win this game. They've got to get over this hump they're in.
Yeah, I don't know, man. All right, Keith?
Kansas can't pass the ball to save their freaking lives. And sure enough, Bullet, only QB in the league without a pick so far. I'm going Miami.
I'm going to go Kansas, but in a close game, only because, number one, Kansas rebounds after losing to Nebraska last week, but also Tony Ava doesn't get hurt. I think that Tony Ava is the difference in the game, and he wins that game.
Tony Ava got hurt last game.
That's right, and they lost. That's what I'm saying. If he doesn't get hurt, they win. Kansas in a landslide, 40-15, chosen over Miami by AACL Nation. The primetime game tomorrow night, Ray, Penn State at LSU. Who you got?
Oh, this is a close one, and I'm glad to be calling this one. It's a battle of the number ones, but unfortunately, we have to have one number one, and that true victor. Go Tigers. LSU.
Ooh, Lions versus Tigers. Yogi?
All we need
is Tigers. Tigers will always win over the Lions.
Really? Keith?
Let's go.
Yep.
Keith?
This is another tough one. Shoot. I really don't know, dude. This is one of those games where home field advantage is going to come into play, so I guess LSU in that case.
All right, I'm going to be the only one that's going to say it. I think Penn State is the most talented team in the AACL. I think they have two premier defenders. They have a guy that we literally have given a hashtag. And as long as Blitzkrieg and Guy Clausen stay healthy, I think Penn State goes into Death Valley and makes the Tigers fucking cry like little fucking kitties, is all I'm saying. So there you go. Tennessee at Notre Dame. Ray, I assume you're picking your own team, but tell us why.
You would be wrong, actually. I'm not being biased anymore in this. I'm not choosing Notre Dame just because they are my team. I'm choosing based off of what is happening on that field. And so far, what I saw week 2, we did not produce. I don't think they get over this slouch that they just got against Bama. Tennessee steals it at Notre Dame.
Wow. All right. Yogi, you agree with Ray, or where are you going with this one?
No, I disagree. I think they're not overlooking this game like they may have overlooked last week's game. I think they'll be prepared. I'm going to go with Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. Okay, 1-1. Keith, what say you?
These are two pretty similar teams. I think their passing is the strength of their offense, but I think Notre Dame struggled more on defense in the first 2 weeks. I'm leaning Tennessee here.
All right, so I got sidetracked in Discord for a moment, so let me go back to my pick'ems real quick. I missed the Penn State LSU game. Ready for this, you guys? This is
You said Penn State.
No, I did, but I'm going to I'm
Oh.
looking at the pick'ems.
Oh, the over. Okay,
Yeah. So
sorry.
AACL Nation, in the closest game we've had so far, not just all season long, but I think including the preseason tournament, 20. Somebody's changing their shit, fucking trying to dick around with it. It's 29-26 LSU. So only 3 points difference, depending on when you look at it, since somebody's fucking.
It'll be a 3-point game.
We'll see. We'll find out. Tennessee and Notre Dame. I love me some Tennessee, bro. I really do. I just kind of feel Notre Dame at home plays a lot better than Notre Dame on the road most of the time. Yeah, I think Notre Dame just got shocked by an Alabama team they weren't prepared for. I think this week they're prepared. I think they take care of business at home against Tennessee. AACL Nation 39-17. So more than 20 votes difference for the Fighting Irish. Moving into the Wednesday night games, which is our last night this week. Ohio State at Missouri. 2 0-2 teams. Not getting a lot of respect right now, Ray. Who you got in this one?
I'm sorry. Buckeyes slow start 35-0 against LSU week 2. I feel like that slow start happens and they can't climb out of that hole. Missouri Tigers takes it.
Really? So Missouri Tigers, Yogi, the only team that Gunny pointed out in the chat that didn't get a single vote this year in the rankings. Ray thinks Missouri's going to take care of business at home. What do you think?
This may be there's one chance to get a vote. I got them beating Ohio State. I'm sorry that the birthday present's not coming through for Nate.
Sorry, Nate Hall. You got more bad news, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, Keith, let's see what Keith has to say about it.
This is another one of those home field advantage is the difference type of games. I have Mizzou here, but it's strictly on home field advantage.
I guess once again, I'm the only person. I think Ohio State corrects the ship. I think that they make adjustments, and I think they go into Mizzou and they take care of business. AACL Nation. Ohio State 23, Missouri 30. So AACL Nation also taking Missouri. Apparently, Nate and I are the only ones who think Ohio State can win this game. Your primetime game on Wednesday night, Nebraska at UNLV. Ray, what do you got here?
Well, Michaela will be glad to know I chose not Nebraska because y'all are just garbage. UNLV.
I don't think that was. I don't like the way you set that up at all.
Listen, Michaela, the one time I chose Nebraska, they lost.
Oh,
The last week I chose against Nebraska, they won. So you should be thanking me right
news.
All right, Ray. Well, thank you for making us win by not choosing us. Yogi, who you got in this one?
I got Nebraska winning this one. I think it's going to be a tougher game, but there's a diva at wide receiver on Nebraska that may have a player or two up his sleeves.
Fucking A.
2 of them. One of them slept with my mom.
That's right. Again.
Hey-yo.
Again. Keith, who you got in this one?
Man, people are sleeping on the Nebraska defense, I'm
For
telling you.
good reasons.
Yes. Total passing yards against Nebraska in 2 weeks, 250 passing yards and 5 interceptions. Yeah, Robo, you're screwed, buddy. Nebraska wins.
Here's what I say. UNLV, just putting you on notice right now, there is not going to be any late game bad clock management by Nebraska. You won't even be in that situation because we're going to fucking blow you out. And Robo probably gets hurt and doesn't return to the game. Nebraska in a landslide, and I'm not biased at all. AACL Nation 33-23, so 10 vote difference for Nebraska. Last game of the week, Ray. Syracuse at Auburn. Syracuse barely beat Missouri, 42-40. Auburn 0-2. Somebody's got to make a move here and let people know that they're for real. Which team's it going to be?
Lisa gets that fresh start. She woke up this morning and had herself a nice glass of orange juice. And as we always say, that I'm adopting for my own.
Syracuse football sucks.
Lisa gets back on track and leads Auburn to their first win.
All right, there you go. Yogi, where you at with this Syracuse-Auburn game?
I had a harder time with this game, but I'm I went down to the very basics, and I think the Auburn defensive line is going to keep Von Winkenstein, whatever.
Whatever the fuck is
Winkenstein.
Hey,
under
we just
control.
call him Taz, bro.
Yeah, no. They'll keep him under control, and they'll come out with their first win of the season this week.
All right, 2 for Auburn. Keith, you going to keep that rolling, or are you going the other way?
Kyle?
I'm going Auburn. They had to win one, and I think they're going to do it here.
I love betting against the three of you, but in this case, I just don't think I can do it for a couple reasons. Number one, I think you're right. I think Lisa gets back on track. There's no way she throws 6 interceptions in back-to-back weeks. That's just not going to happen. Number two, I just still haven't seen that Taz has enough faith in his weapons like we talked about during the highlights, and I think he's going to try to do too much. And I wouldn't even be surprised to see him maybe even get hurt this game because he's trying to do too much. And I think Auburn kind of cruises probably to a 2 or 3 score victory in this one. So I've got Auburn as well. AACL Nation 43-12. I think that might be the biggest landslide of them all that we mentioned here tonight. 43-12 in favor of Auburn. So that's a clean sweep for Auburn there. Looking like Auburn going to try to get their first W of this season. I think that wraps up the show. We're over time, which means we're going to push the game back. I'm going to put that in here in a second. It's 8:50. It's going to be almost 8:15. It's 8:12. So we'll push the Florida-Iowa kickoff to 8:45, and we will immediately go into the Virginia Tech-Alabama game right after that. So real quick, going around the horn, any last words, anything that you guys meant to say, forgot to say, anything you're looking forward to tonight or this week? Ray, I'll start with you.
Besides the fact that you were stroking your own ego during the Nebraska UNLV pick,
that's not all. Hey, that's not all I was stroking.
Heyo.
I guarantee it. Is everybody else forgetting that UNLV is undefeated for a reason because they have that offense and they have that defense? No matter how close the game is,
they should be 1-1. Dude, if Miami's clock management doesn't fuck up, they're 1-1.
We're talking about fucking Miami,
1-1, bro.
Miami has a weak ass defense.
All
right,
your face has a weak ass defense.
Hey, Ray, it's funny. It's funny because Notre Dame is second in points allowed. Second worst.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So I know everything about weak ass defenses then.
All right.
I do have one thing to point out.
Yeah, go ahead, Michaela.
UNLV is ranked above Iowa, although UNLV has their opponents are 0-4, while Iowa's opponents are 3.
That was interesting. It was really close. It was only a couple points difference, but you're right. It is interesting that they're above Iowa. Yogi, who you got, or what else did you have anything you wanted to add before we sign off?
No, we'll see if the Ludes work.
We'll see if
for Chevy Monte Carlo. If the Ludes work.
Oh my gosh, Becky!
At least we didn't have Winkler put up anything.
And Gunny says in the chat, Lisa will not throw more than interceptions per game. I noticed how he left out a number. Oh, there you go. 3 interceptions at the bottom. She will not throw more than blank interceptions. Gunny, you're 100% correct.
Accurate on the Missouri votes and not accurate on the numbers.
All right, Keith, you got the last word on this one. What do you want to add before we sign off?
Khalil.
Official declaration. Speedy is catching a touchdown this week.
Oh, snap. Boom. There you go. All right, folks, that's it. That's a wrap for dude, I got to get used to that one. That one keeps throwing me off a little bit. For AACL TueNight, episode 3. We'll see you back here in 30 minutes at 8:45 p.m. Eastern for the kickoff of Florida at Iowa. We'll see you in a few.